Okay, so I'm here with Ryan Schill of Kennesaw State University in Georgia, and he's got a very interesting sequential art piece which you've seen already on video here, and I'm going to let him kind of talk about it. Why he did it this way and its relationship to this. Go ahead.
Great, thank you, Carl. Yeah, the piece is titled question mark. What I was going for with this piece was the first thing I wanted to do was to create a sequential art piece that didn't have any words in it. I was trying to create a narrative without using any words if I could, which in itself isn't the most original thing, but it was an interesting challenge to take on, I thought. And I also at that time had been thinking a lot about sort of compulsive thoughts and the way our thoughts can sometimes sort of have a life of their own and control us in a way instead of the other way around. And so this piece sort of looks at that issue, at how our thoughts can take us places we didn't think we would go. They can kind of control our actions to a certain degree. They're not always something that we are completely owning. The art itself is, I like a very loose style. I like to work in bold lines, but also, sort of watercolor-like backgrounds and colors. So this piece was actually done completely digitally. I actually drew it all on an iPad using a stylus. And it sort of, the art itself kind of came out of just sketching a little bit. I first started drawing the little guy that's in the piece, and as I was trying to work out what he would do, that's where the first thought balloon came from with the question mark, and everything kind of went from there. It's different from anything that I'd done previously. In terms of sequential art, I've done some other pieces that were taking some sort of obscure or historical texts and trying to apply some more modern art techniques to them and see how that would work together. So this was kind of a first for me, and it was much more comic in tone, I think, than some of the other things I've done. I've also in the past, I've done work, I work as a journalist.
Doesn't the whole sequential art movement really have to do with the integration of what might be called the comic genre into, sophisticated art form?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. It's at the very least, I would say that it opens it up to being whatever it can be. It can be more sophisticated, and you can definitely match it up or pair it up with that, more artistic style, or you can go in a very loose and more abstract way if you want to. But it does, I like that it has been opened up now to whatever kind of style works for that piece. I had initially sort of gained an interest in sequential art through my work as a journalist, because I got hooked up with a cartoonist named Matt Bors, who worked for an organization that was producing comics journalism pieces. So this is, reported stories and done in the comic format. So we collaborated on a piece for Cartoon Movement, and that I scripted, and he had hired an artist for, and that kind of got me started on this. And I started working more on my own pieces beyond that, and moving away from, the nonfiction reported things into more narrative pieces and abstract things. So, yeah.
And what kind of relationship does it have to the whole theme that we're doing of personal transformation?
I think, again, when we're thinking about, we're talking about this idea of compulsive thoughts and the relationship that can have with addiction. The narrative itself definitely moves from a place of, he begins first with a thought, and eventually that thought gets away from him, and
Right.
he sort of chases after it, but eventually, he does regain control and ends up in a positive place, I think. So it sort of becomes about overcoming those compulsions and that addiction in some way, and regaining control of your thoughts.
And there's this kind of struggle that's one of the mottos in 12-step movements is progress, not perfection. And so the sequential thing shows you that in some ways that every little frame, every little moment, is part of that kind of struggle, which of course is the subtitle of the show, making our inner struggle. So yeah, so that's neat. Okay. All right. Well, listen, thank you.
Thank you.
That was great. And we'll be talking soon. I'm going to just stop here for a second, and I'll just